The Cubs pull off a victory against the Diamondbacks, and they're back in the win column. First time this year, and they're 1-0 in the United States. We're going to talk about why that game last night was beautiful and it was significant. They'll do it again late night in Arizona, but the pieces were there yesterday, and a nice dub for the Cubs. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's talk a little Cubs baseball and start the season off in the United States 1-0. I know they lost 2 in Japan, but we're not holding it against them right now. Don't want to spoil last night. All right, let's go. Thanks, everybody. Mick Gillespie, obviously on the road today, but still wanted to jump on here and talk about that game last night. What a win for the Cubs. It was kind of like the opposite of the kind of games I like. I'm like a 2-1, 3-2, 1-0 type guy, like a pitcher's duel. That's not what we got, but I saw a team that scratched and clawed, found a way to get things done, and pulled off a win against a team that's really been a thorn in their side over the last few years, and that's the Arizona Diamondbacks. How about Miguel Amaya? What a great way to start the season, and I hope that it continues. But 5 runs batted in the 10-6 victory. He had a 3-run bases clearing double that helped the Cubs build the big lead. And at Chase Field, which, you know, like I said, I don't feel like it's been a great place for the Cubs lately. It was great last night as they ended up winning the ball game. It was good to see Kyle Tucker with some big hits. Ian Happ had another big game. It seems like Happer has a lot of his best games. Like he's one of those guys that, you know, that has like the big games. And when they're big, they're really big. And to think that Amaya is the guy we're talking about when Happ was 2 for 5 with 3 runs batted in and scored twice and walked, it tells you what kind of game that Amaya had in that 9th spot. 5 runs batted in is definitely something. But Cubs won the game. Happ hit the first home run of the season, and it was against a team that has kind of been a thorn, like I said, a thorn in their side. Steele muscled through 5 innings, didn't have his best stuff, but 6 hits and 3 runs. You felt like that was good. And then Presley gave up a run, but got the job done anyway in the 9th. Wasn't a save for him because of the lead, but he pitched the 9th inning and closed it out. Now, I felt like Pete Crow Armstrong kind of showed you the things that he can do with the speed. That kind of a performance for these guys is exactly what they're going to need to do, and that's score some runs and get things going. Obviously, outside of the pitching, as the pitching starts to try to get things figured out. But Steele is just, you can't not like the guy. I mean, he's just like he's such a old school baller, man. Like, just gets after it. And so it's just one win. But anyway, look, they're back in action today. It's Jameson Taillon's season debut. He had a pretty good year last year, and he'll go up against Merrill Kelly. But this is another one that's going to be late, 8:40 Central Time against Arizona. So stay up late to watch it. Opportunity for this team to try to even the record at 2-2. But these are all really important games. We talked about it before, just how difficult this schedule is because they play so many really good teams, or teams that we expect to be really good at the beginning of the season. So that's going to be something that they're going to have. Look, you win this one, and all of a sudden you're looking around going, okay, you know what? Maybe we're not going to be so intimidated by this schedule. And then they got to go to Sacramento and open it up there. And then, they're doing all the opening days. And they've joked about that. But it is pretty funny when you think about it, right? 3 in Arizona. They go for the series win, or a split in this, actually 3 left in Arizona, but you could get a split with a win today. And then, all of a sudden you're going to Sacramento to open up the A's stadium, which is pretty funny because they're playing in a minor league park, and then back to Wrigley. And so there's a lot of fun stuff going on, but hadn't really had the opportunity to jump on here and talk about the Cubs since the roster came out. I'm going to do that in a second, but I want to remind you guys that we're brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings using the promo code CBC. Take advantage of it right now. Might still be wearing my winter layers, but the start of baseball season means spring is upon us. I've teamed up with DraftKings to bring the excitement to my fellow fans of one of America's most beloved games. Right now, they are offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. Download the DraftKings app now and sign up using our code CBC. Cubs Baseball Channel, CBC. The crown is yours. Stay in on all the action and use your $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at even bigger payouts. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen, making watching the game that much more exciting. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Pick 6 and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use our promo code CBC and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code CBC only at DraftKings Sportsbook. So it was a great win for the Cubs. Before the game, though, they set the roster for the start of the season. And, that you talk about like a lot of the moves that were made. And one of them was that the Cubs designated for assignment Cody Poteet. He was the player that they got back in the Cody Bellinger trade, right? So basically now, we'll see what happens. I mean, Poteet could be traded. He could be somebody that, finds another home, right? If nobody claims him. But he's a 30-year-old with, kind of most of his time spent in the minor leagues, very limited success, but some success in the big leagues. And it's really interesting to me because it really felt like at the time, and it turned out to be that way, a throw-in when in a deal where you are giving up a former MVP and you're sending money, so it was basically a sell-off. And it's another one of those trades. And we've talked about it on here. That just the entire ball that goes along with this Kyle Tucker deal, where you sold off a player and basically and Bellinger and really didn't get anything back in return. I mean, you just sold him and then paid $5 million to him. So, it puts more pressure on the front office. I'll tell you that. We've talked about that before, but look, I don't want to spoil opening day or our first win of the season and be thinking about, exactly what that looks like. And I know most of you guys know the roster by now, and kind of how things look, that the fact that, Jordan Wicks ended up starting in the minor leagues and then this, basically Eli Morgan to AAA, and then Brad Keller made the team. So they had to put him on there. Brujan was placed on the 10-day IL, right? So, that keeps Gage Workman, so you don't lose him. Brujan's on the IL. And then Brasher and Miller on the IL as well, right? So that's kind of how things played out. Steele, Tyone, Imanaga, Matthew Boyd, Ben Brown are your 5 starters. Colin Ray, Brad Keller, Julian Merriweather, who I hope has a Julian Merriweather type of year. Caleb Thielbar, Nate Pearson, Eli Morgan, Porter Hodge, who was the closer last year, limited scope, and then Ryan Presley, Miguel Amaya, saw him do his thing, Carson Kelly, and then Michael Bush, Dansby Swanson, Nico Horner, Matt Shaw, Justin Turner, John Birdie, and then Gage Workman. So Workman made the team. Tucker, Suzuki, Happ, and Armstrong, as you saw last night, the opening day roster. Really, the question was, how are you going to figure out a way to keep Gage Workman? It was going to be Workman or Bruhan. Bruhan's on the IL, so now you have 10 days to figure it out. And for Gage Workman, he's got to take the opportunity in these games to make something happen so that they keep him around. Because I don't think he's got a guaranteed spot. But if he goes out there and does what he did in spring training, it'd be hard to send him back to the Tigers for the Cubs. So anyway, short show today. Appreciate you guys so much. Like and subscribe as always. Get in the comment section. I'll try to throw something out a little earlier tomorrow, but it's opening day, the vibe of opening day, doing opening day, baseball finally back, watching the Cubs scored 10 runs. Miguel Amaya. What if Miguel Amaya turns out to be the player that he could potentially be? I'm not saying he's going to drive in 10 a night, but if it's going to take that type of an effort, if you could turn that position into a spot where the Cubs are getting something out of it, that hasn't been the case here lately. It would really help the team. And then, the other guy that I think is so important to this team is Dansby Swanson. He was 0 for 5. He's a guy I'm keeping an eye on because I really feel like for the Cubs to be able to contend for the playoffs and a real run, Swanson's got to hit. So anyway, you tell me who you think. Who's the most pivotal player on this roster? I'm not saying the best player, but who's the guy that if he plays well, then the Cubs are going to win more games? And I say it's Swanson. All right. Talk to you tomorrow. Again, tonight's matchup at 8:40 in Arizona, and we'll be watching it and cheering along. But thanks, guys. Baseball's back. Go Cubs.